like that's every one of these series right now in the second round are really, really tight, really, really good matchups. But I feel like you can tell, other than in just one series, who the better. Well, yeah, really in one series, who the better team is. In the other, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering on my words. Let's start this over. What I'm trying to say to you people is, out of the 4 series that are out there right now, I feel like only one you really can't tell who the better team is. Only one. And I think it's the San Antonio Golden State series. I really feel like you cannot tell who the better team is.
See, I disagree there because I don't think you could tell who the better team is in the Indiana-New York series.
I think Indiana's a better team. I think New York has better talent. Do you see what
I disagree. I just think it's poor shooting on the Knicks' part right now.
And we had this talk on the ride down. Sooner or later, you got to stop with the poor shooting excuses. These guys are playing good defense. 71 points scored by an NBA team deserves credit to the defense.
Yeah, to a certain extent.
I'll give you J.R. Smith. I watched that whole game on Saturday. He had open opportunities. He had opportunities where you've watched him make difficult shots where he's guarded, but he gets enough room that he gets the shot off, and he's missing them. I will completely give you that one.
And he is the second scorer on that team. They need him.
But J. Kidd struggling. You've got nothing out of Felton. You got a pretty much run-of-the-mill experience out of Melo. And when I say run-of-the-mill, I mean pretty much what you're used to seeing out of him right now. He's getting you points, but he's shooting way too much to get to that level. It's the same thing people rip on Kobe about all the time. When Kobe scores 25 and only shoots 16, 17 shots, people are like, oh, what a great game. When Kobe scores 25 but shoots 40 shots, it's not a good game. 40 possessions should not only get you 25 points.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing out of Melo. He's still putting up points. He's still shooting well from the free throw line. But he's not really giving you a high percentage, which is something you want right now. Or Tyson Chandler getting owned by Roy Hibbert. Owned. Every single media outlet in this area that I have heard from all says the same thing. Show Tyson Chandler the tape of Hibbert running up and down the court, laughing and smiling pretty much the entire game to try and motivate Chandler. But then listening today on, I don't know, whichever one of the morning sports talk shows that we listen to, you heard some of the quotes that came out of Chandler. We don't have a great player on this team. We need to hustle more. We need to crash the boards more. We need to. And Tyson Chandler, to me, I've always looked at it as a man that can be a leader of a locker room. I don't get the point of going to the media on this one. I don't. Now, he was asked, and he answered honestly. And Tyson Chandler, from what we all know about this man, is not biting his tongue for nobody. He's going to tell you what he feels. He's going to tell you what he thinks, and I respect that. He didn't hide the fact that he's the one that said it. Cool with that. I'm just surprised that he had something to say to the media. That was what surprised me. Like I said, didn't hide the fact that he said it. He owned his quotes. So the fact that he did that, fine. You said what you said, it is what it is. I was shocked that he went to the media on that one. I was. But the 2 games the Knicks have lost, Roy Hibbert, monster games. The game the Knicks won, Roy Hibbert, non-factor. David West was pretty much a non-factor in Game 3. Didn't really play that well. I mean, watch the man miss 2 different shots from within 5 feet. This game, to me, came down to 2 simple things. Roy Hibbert dominating on the inside. Well, I'll say, actually, I'm wrong. 3 things. Roy Hibbert dominating on the inside. The Knicks' lack of an offense. And the fact that the Pacers beat the Knicks at their own game with the 3-point shooting.
They did. Getting off only 9 isn't going to cut it. This is a team that averages 29 3 attempts a game. In Game 2, in which they won, they averaged they had 30. They need to get back to playing their style of ball. They're not playing it right now. That I'll credit to the defense. The Pacers have taken them out of their style of basketball. The Knicks need to get back to it. I think they will. I think they tie the series up, make it 2-2. And like I've said from the beginning, and like I've said since the middle of this season, this is the series I wanted to see because I think this is a series that could go 7 games and be a real slugfest. I think it will go back and forth.
Oh, I think this.
But that's why I'm saying I don't think there's a clear cut when you said, oh, well, the only series where you can't tell who the better team is. I'm not just going to sit here and say that Indiana's the better team. I don't necessarily think that they're the better team. I think that it's arguable who the better team is.
It is arguable, but I think at least from my perspective, Indiana looks like and is playing like the better team. New York has the better individual players. But when you're role players, you're J Kids, you're Novaks, these guys that contributed all year long to helping the New York Knicks earn the number 2 seed, had to beat Indiana a week before the season ended on a Sunday to lock up that number 2 seed. These guys that contributed are nowhere. Then you have J.R. Smith. He's out partying with Rihanna. And then he's now got the flu.
But they're saying Martin has it too, so that's why you might tend to believe it. If a couple players go down with it.
Oh, I'm not even going to call a guy a liar. If he has the flu, he has the flu. But what are you doing out partying with Rihanna the night before a game?
That there's no answer to.
No offense. Look, dude, I understand.
Yeah.
Last I checked, NBA season lasts from end of October to mid-June. So that leaves you all of July, all of August, and all of September if you want to go out for a couple drinks. Don't tell me you can't go out for a couple drinks and then go practice for a couple hours the next day. It's practice. You're NBA stars. It's practice. Playoff game. Big difference. And look, you're doing your thing, but if I'm J.R. Smith, I need a new agent because my agent should be telling me right now, hey, jackass, you're playing for a contract. The way you have played all year has bought you the ability to look at other NBA teams and say, I deserve to be paid as a starter. I deserve to get a, maybe not max salary, but I should be making a nice chunk of change for the next few years. And I've showed everybody that. And instead, you're in the playoffs. You've laid an egg for the majority of the playoffs. And then before a playoff game, you're out partying with Rihanna. Do you think NBA general managers around the league are sitting there saying, I want him to be my starting 2 guard?
No, but I think somebody around the league will pay him to be a starting 2 guard.
Oh, and I completely agree. And I think but every one of these little things takes a couple bucks out of his pocket. Couple bucks. Look, we all know the NBA is going to overpay for players. It's what they do. It's what they've always done. Like I've said before on the show, Steve Blake, backup point guard of the Los Angeles Lakers, made $9 million this year for playing backup point guard. Now, he made some big plays for them towards the end of the year to help them get into the playoffs, especially after Kobe went down. Don't want to take that away from the guy. Bottom line is, he's still not worth $9 million. J.R. Smith is trying to do what he can to earn it. Now, I want to check out what Miss Christina is saying in our chat room because I know she loves her J.R. Smith and she loves her Knicks. Be happy you missed the game on Saturday. Was not worth the time. Well, if you're a Knicks fan, it's still... And Christina points out that Rihanna's a Miami Heat fan, so what's he doing hanging out with her? Bottom line is, I agree with Erich. I think this series still goes 7 games, but I actually disagree. I think the New York Knicks lose Game 4. I think Indiana wins Game 4. They go to New York down 3-1. New York wins Game 5. And I got a couple friends that do disagree with me on that. I have a couple people that have told me that they think if this series goes back to New York with the Knicks down 3-1, that there's a good chance the Knicks don't make it back to Indiana. I disagree, though. I think if this series goes back to New York 3-1, they definitely make it back to Indiana. I don't know. I think the Knicks do have the talent to win the series. I just think based on watching the first 3 games, Indiana looks more like the better team. The Knicks just have better individual talent. To tie a bow on that one. I do.